What's up, Whisper Nation, and welcome into the Week 9 Thursday night matchup preview show. I am your host, Big Travie.
Right here.
As always, you can find me on Twitter at BigTravieTFW. Tonight, I am joined by my co-host and business partner, Johnny Gametime Hicks. You can find him on Twitter at Johnny_Gametime. And tonight, we're going to be going over the Thursday night matchup, which is the Green Bay Packers going to San Francisco to face the San Francisco 49ers. On Thursday Night Football, it's a 51-point over-under. The Packers favored by 2.5. Before we jump into this, Johnny, I want to let Whisper Nation know, if you're new to the YouTube channel, go ahead and hit subscribe. Hit that like button and click those notifications so you know when a new video is dropping, because we go with new content every single day. And you want to make sure you get on top of that. And this episode is directly about that Thursday night matchup. Johnny, we've got San Francisco hosting Green Bay. How you feeling about this one? How you feeling in general? What's going on, my brother?
Well, I'm pleased because I will be allowing you to watch this game because I know that's what you've been looking forward to this all week. So I'm excited for you that you'll be able to get to watch this, and I'm crossing my fingers. That you guys can kind of, I don't know, like muster up all of that negative juju and bad energy that you felt after last year's debacle in the playoffs, and just completely steamroll the 49ers, because it would greatly help my Arizona Cardinals. So I'm looking forward to this probably just as much as you are.
Yeah, we'll do our best. We cannot stop the run right now, but luckily for us, and I'm going to knock on wood here, the Niners haven't really been able to put a bunch of running backs out there. They keep getting injured. So hopefully we're going to get the bottom of the barrel, and that means we'll be able to tackle someone this week. I really hope so. But let's start on that Green Bay side of the ball, and let's talk fantasy for a second. Johnny, we know it's Aaron Rodgers. We know it's Davante Adams. What is going on behind these guys? Is there anything? And then we've got a COVID situation that has basically made the running back room for Green Bay non-existent.
Yeah, so here's the thing. The matchup isn't that great on paper for Aaron Rodgers, right? San Francisco, as banged up as they are, they still are bottom 12 in points allowed to the quarterback position. So you're, on paper, it doesn't look great. But this is Aaron Rodgers, and not only that, it's 2020 Aaron Rodgers, where this dude just gets it done. He finds ways. It doesn't matter if you are, Davante Adams, if you're an undrafted free agent, if you're a trash can that they picked up on trash can day that was in another trash can. Aaron Rodgers will make it work.
Like that.
Oh,
all right, come on now.
Burn. But it doesn't matter. He'll make it work. So I'm still going to throw Aaron Rodgers in there. Just temper your expectations. He might have a bad game, but I don't expect it. It's Aaron Rodgers. And as far as the pass catchers go, Travis, Aaron, it just comes down to Davante Adams. That's all I feel comfortable in starting this week as far as the wide receivers, because San Francisco is number one in San Francisco is bottom 12 in fantasy points allowed to the wide receiver position. So I only feel confident in what Davante Adams is going to do, and so that's why I'm only rolling him out there.
Before we get into the running backs, I want to talk a little bit about Robert Tunyan, who continues to be a guy that you can rely on in this very unreliable tight end landscape. How are you feeling about this matchup? If you're not liking the other pass catchers outside of Davante Adams, is Tunyan in that category, or would you be okay starting him here?
This is where it gets like a little bit like, I'm not sure. Do I need to put on my analyst hat or just my gut feeling hat and what it seems to be? Because I'll tell you both sides of the argument, and then you can make a decision for yourself. Because here's the reality. 49ers, we talked about how little they give up to other positions. Well, they are bottom 4 in fantasy points allowed to the tight end positions, with only 4.8 fantasy points per game on average. So that doesn't bode well. And then you look at Robert Tunyan, and he did play the highest amount of snap share against Minnesota. And he did see a lot of the most air yards last weekend in 55 out of this entire year. So you're like, okay, well, there's some good and there's some bad there. But here's the thing, Travis. It is a 51-point over-under. So that means that there's going to be points scored in this game. And sure, it could definitely all come from Davante Adams for certain. But I feel like there's got to be some other piece, and I don't have any confidence in MVS at all. So I think that, yeah, if you do need some kind of dart throw, that Funyan is, or I keep saying Funyan now. Like, I'm going to just call him Funyan now that I have it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
do
look,
think
he's a
that,
tight end.
yeah.
His last name's Tunyan, and he's a lot of Funyan.
Yeah. So Robert Tunyan, though, I do think that you could do a lot worse at the tight end position this week than grabbing him if you need a dart throw.
All right, well, if you think there's going to be points scored there, maybe it's from this running back position. Even though we got Aaron Jones likely out with the calf injury, we've got Jamal Williams being placed on the COVID reserve list because of his contact with A.J. Dillon, who has COVID-19. That brings up Tyler Irvin and Dexter Williams, who have a combined 15 career carries between them. And they are going to head up this Green Bay backfield. How are you feeling about either one of these guys or both? What do you see happening?
If I had to roll the dice on one of them, because I wouldn't bet on either one, or I wouldn't bet on both of them. If I were only going to bet on one, it would be Tyler Irvin. No, that's who I would go with. He's only seen 4 carries, but they were for 43 yards. So he's got the burst. He's got that. That he also saw 3 targets on 9 routes in week 8. So that means that, hey, he's got Aaron Rodgers' confidence when he comes in the game. And like we said, this is a 51-point over-under. Someone has to score the points here, and I do think that the majority of them will come from Davante Adams. But I would say that the second person on that list for me would be Tyler, and I would be wanting to pick him up on waivers if I needed a streamable running back this week.
I like it. On the other side of the ball, we've got the San Francisco 49ers, Johnny, and they have just been ravaged with injuries, including the most recent injury to their star tight end, George Kittle. Jordan Reid was activated, or at least designated to return. We'll see how that works out. You've also got Ross Dwelly. But talk to me a little bit about this offense, this San Francisco 49er offense, and who you're liking for fantasy football in this matchup on Thursday night.
So there's basically only 2 people that I feel confident in realistically starting. I'll give you a third flex option that I don't mind. But we'll start off at the running back position because that's probably where the most questions are going to come for this team. And, you've got JaMycal Hasty, the rookie who, everyone was excited about. He did fumble last week, which doesn't help his case. But he did see 42% of snap share in week 8. He did see 4 red zone touches, which you've liked that, and he did average 4.1 yards per carry. So the metrics are there. He could be the early down guy. However, I do think that Jerrick McKinnon, this is a good spot for him. We talked about how much the Green Bay Packers cannot stop the run. They are number 1 in points allowed to the running back position. And so that's why I'm okay flexing JaMycal Hasty if I need to. But I do think Jerrick McKinnon, I think this is a very big smash spot for him. He saw 50% of snap share in week 8, 11% target share, Travis, 1.17 yards per route run, which for a running back, that's pretty awesome and pretty impressive. I'll take that. And so if I'm looking for a running back, that's where I'm going in this game.
What about with the pass catchers? Because we did mention George Kittle's injury. We've got Brandon Aiyuk kind of emerging this year. How do you feel about the other pass catchers?
Yeah, so what's really interesting here, there are a couple things I want to watch for in this game. I'm not feeling confident in starting them, but I definitely want to watch. And it might sound gross, might sound hideous, but Nick Mullins and the relationship he has with these wide receivers. The very few games that Nick Mullins has actually come in and played this year, he has played pretty well. He's on average passing it 25 plus times, and we have to remember, like, when he's coming in, it's usually like the third quarter of games. It's not to start. When he's played a full game, he's gotten around 35 passing attempts, and he's thrown for over 300 yards. Now, that was a little bit situational, but I do think that he will be someone I want to watch for because he's got some nice matchups coming up. But do not play him in this game because the Packers are bottom 10 in points allowed to the quarterback position. But when I talk about these wide receivers and who he's throwing to, Kendrick Bourne had a big, set 10 targets last week. Don't chase the targets. Here's what's interesting here, and why I actually really love Brandon Aiyuk. Because in this spot, I think he is going to absolutely blow up here on Thursday night. He will become a household name at the wide receiver position because Kendrick Bourne should draw the number one corner for Green Bay. Jair Alexander. Big Travis can tell you just how how this guy has been just lightning in a bottle, shutting down wide receivers. It doesn't matter who you are. And so if you look at Kendrick Bourne, this is what I was a little bit worried about for Brandon Aiyuk. I was like, I don't know if I want to start him because he could draw the number one corner. Well, when you look at Kendrick Bourne and where he lines up and then what corners have been doing all season long, he has been lining up and taking away the number one corner of the opposing team. And so I expect that to happen this week, which opens the door for Brandon Aiyuk because Big Travis could tell you the number two corner is where you can attack this Green Bay Packers defense. You're looking at Brandon Aiyuk playing on 93.7% of snaps, Travis, averaging just under 7 targets per game, 1.55 yards per route ran. So he's in there often. He's running a lot of routes. And then check this out, one of my favorite stats on Brandon Aiyuk. He's seen at least 98 air yards in 3 of his last 4 games. So the opportunity's there. It's going to be there in this game because, as we see, it's a big over-under. I expect 49ers to have to, throw the ball to keep up with this Green Bay Packers team.
They're going to have to throw the ball, which means they'll probably have to throw to one of these tight ends. Either Jordan Reid gets activated in time or Ross Dwelley takes over. Do you like either of these guys if Reid is active? Would you go with him? If he's not, would you go with Dwelley?
Yeah, so it's kind of like the same kind of situation, for Tunyan, right? I don't necessarily love the matchup. Green Bay is bottom 6 in points allowed to the tight end position. They've been locking down tight ends all season long, no matter what your name is. So I don't love it, but we do know how involved the tight end position is in the Shanahan offense and how he schemes you open. So I actually don't mind. I think Jordan Reid will be activated. There are reports that he will be activated for this game. They could surely use him. He caught 9 balls and 73 yards and 2 touchdowns in the weeks he was filling in earlier this season for George Kittle. So I do think it is a solid option in a position where it is bone dry and give me that kind of production and offense. I know they're going to target a tight end position. Then I would go with Jordan Reid. But if Jordan Reid does not get activated, then the same would apply to Ross Dwelley, who played in just under 60% of snaps and ran 30 routes. And during those 30 routes, he did see 4 targets. So once again, they have trust in him as well if he were to fill in. But that's where I would go if I have to.
All right, well, that does it for us, Whisper Nation. Let us know your start-sit questions in the comments below. And as always, you can hit us up on any social media platform by searching the Fantasy Whispers today. For Johnny Game Time Hicks, who you can find on Twitter at Johnny_GameTime. I am Big Travie. You can find me on Twitter at Big Travie TFW. We are the Fantasy Whispers, and we're out. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Whisperers podcast. You can hear more from John and Travis on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whisperers.